Alright, now what are we gonna do? We will gonna solve one of the last vulnerability of the CR API vulnerable application, which is JWT vulnerability. And as for this vulnerability, in the challenge number 15, we have to find a way to forge a valid JWT token. Okay, basically what exactly is this JWT token? We will gonna look at it. So JWT token is one of the authorization mechanism which an API utilizes in order to allocate users roles and responsibility. Okay, and again, since it is one of the authorization technology, there are a couple of vulnerabilities which are found in the JWT implementation, such as the application is not verifying the signature value, or else unflawed signature, or else one can brute force the secret value and force the JWT token. Later on, we have JW, JKU header injection, JWS header injection. Then we also have PID path traversal. Okay, and there is one more attack which is token replay attack, JWT token replay attack. So there are a couple of them. But for the current challenge, we will not gonna look at each and every one of them. We will gonna simply use one of the well-known and basic JWT attacks. Okay, so JWT token basically consists of three things. I mean, there are total three items or three separate informations which are available in a specific JWT token. Those are the header value, which includes the header information. Sorry, not header information, which includes the algorithm information, such as HS256, RS256. Then we have the payload information, and this payload information involves the user information, such as the username, such as the user roles, and when the token was created, when will the token will gonna get expired, and much more information. Okay, then we have the signature, and this signature involves a cryptographic signature, which the application, if properly configured, if the JWT token has been properly implemented into the application, then our application will gonna look at this signature and it will gonna verify whether our JW token was manipulated or not. Okay, typically a JWT token has basically two dots in it. That means whenever we get to see some random values which is starting with EY, and it has specifically two dots in it, such as dot number 1, and where is my dot number 2? I think I'm getting blind day by day. Just a sec, let me search where is the second dot. Yeah, here it is. So dot number 1 and dot number 2. So whenever in a random value which starts with EY and it has two dot values in it, then we can definitely be sure that it is a particular JWT token. Okay, and JWT tokens are nothing but they are the base 64 encoded values. Now when I say base 64 encoded values, that means all these three parts, such as header, payload, and signature, all these three parts will gonna be uh, base 64 encoded, and before encoding them in a base 64, it will gonna be written in a JSON format, and then that format will gonna be encoded in a base 64. Okay, so now let's proceed with our basic vulnerability identification. How we will gonna do that? I'm gonna start with my bugs. This is what my dashboard page is all about. I'm gonna refresh it and capture a request. But before that, let me quickly go ahead and change the font. Okay, I think this should work. Yeah, this should work. So this is the dashboard request, and this is the dashboard's API request. And this API indeed have the authorization bearer as in the JWT token. Okay, I'm gonna forward this request in my repeater, turn the intercept off, and one more thing. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the extension JWT editor extension, which is, I would say, this one. Okay, one can install this editor by simply going to the B app store. Then they'll have to scroll down a bit, and here it is. From here, they can install the JWT editor. Okay, I have already installed it, and this is how it looks like. I mean, you guys can ignore all this key value because I had already generated this. Let me do one thing. Let me quickly enable it, reload it. So I'm gonna unload it first, and then I'm gonna load it one more time. This, okay, this they still have this. No problem. We will gonna generate a new key. Okay. So now once our JWT editor is loaded, in the repeater we can see that there is one new tab besides the hex tab, which is JSON web token. And this include a lot of information such as our serialized JWT token. Serialized JWT token as in the actual JWT token, I would say. Okay. Then we have this header value. Just ignore this JWS for the moment. We have this header value, we have this payload, and this is what my signature looks like. Okay, now our goal is to forge a JWT token. So first let me send this request, and I can see in the email that this is my current user, which is z@z.com, whose email ID is z@z.com, and my name is box. Okay, now if I want to see some other users dashboard, then what I'm gonna do, I will simply gonna click on my inspector. Then I will first select this value. This will gonna show me that it is a header value, correct? Then later on, this second one is nothing but this includes my payload, and this has the user information, user's role information, token initiation as in when the token was created, and the token expiry information, correct? Now I'm gonna change the sub value from Z to another user, which is b@b.com. You can definitely use some other user. I'm gonna stick with this. Then I'll click on apply changes. I'll send the request, and yes, you guys can see that I indeed am able to check the another users, what you say, dashboard page. How I was able to do it? Just by changing the email ID in the payload, correct? And yeah, one more thing, whenever you guys do such sort of activity, you will notice that this base64 encoded value has a single equals to mark over here. So what we can do, we can simply delete it. Okay, all we have to do is we have to delete it, and then we have to send the request again, and yes, it will gonna work like a charm, correct? So this was one of the attack, I mean not attack, one of the way to forge the JWT token. Later on, what one more attack we can perform over here is we can simply change the algorithm value from RS256 to none, N-O-N-E. I'll have to click on apply. I'll have to remove the equals to, and then I will send the request. As you can see now, just by changing the algorithm information, now I got the message which says that the given email ID is not registered. Now, in order to bypass such sort of information, what I have to do, I will be needed to remove the signature value, which is this. Just make sure that whenever you are removing the signature, always try not to remove the trailing dot. Okay, now why I'm saying this trailing dot, because this first dot is the trailing dot of header, the second dot is the trailing dot of payload. Okay, so don't remove this dot, but remove the signature value. Send the request. Yes, we were able to access the other user's information, correct? So what we did, we performed two different vulnerabilities. First one was the changing of username, changing of payload information, and second one was changing the algorithm information. Correct. So this is how one can solve the challenge number 15. I guess, yes, challenge number 15. And yeah, one more thing, I have noticed that the vulnerabilities which I have performed demonstrated on this dashboard endpoint, it doesn't tend to work on different endpoints at all. And before recording this video, what I did, I earlier on tried different sort of JWT vulnerabilities such as JKU header injection PID, header injection PID path traversal attack, but all the other endpoints were not at all vulnerable to those attacks. So at the end of the day, I had to limit myself to the dashboard page. Okay, so yeah, that's all for now. Later on, we will see that how we can use Burp Suite to scan the API endpoint. Again, there are certain set of restrictions, certain requirements, but yeah, we will see how we can scan it. So that's all.